Welcome back to my YouTube channel, guys. I am sorry this video took a while. This week has been a little rough, but I don't stay down for long, so here we are. This week, we are going to talk about healing from brokenness. And it's a pretty interesting talk we're going to have today. There's going to be a lot of let me just say that everything that I say is from experience. Everything I say is out of love. My heart really is for you to heal, and nothing that I say is judgmental or, I'm not here to condemn you. That's not my job. But I will say that everything that I've learned has kind of led me to this point. And so everything that I talk about is something that I've been through. It's an experience that I've had myself. So just take it with a grain of salt. And we will continue this journey. We will hopefully get to the point where we're on the same page. So I'm going to start with a verse from Psalm 71. And this is the New Living Translation. You have allowed me to suffer hardship, but you will restore me to life again and lift me up from the depths of the earth. So what I want to clarify first is that God never brings pain into our life. He never, he doesn't create brokenness. We create it with our unhealthy behavior and with the things that we've done and with our experiences and the things that have shaped us and some things that have happened to us that are out of our control that we didn't do. And so we first want to what I want to address is that brokenness does not come from God. God does not inflict pain on people. And he does use pain to develop us, to strengthen us, to transform us, and to edify us. And so that is a beautiful truth. That is one of the first steps to healing that we need to know, that God never brings pain. He doesn't allow bad things to happen to us because he wants to teach us a lesson. He uses those things to strengthen us. So first point, God doesn't bring pain. He uses it. So I think that when we're wounded, those wounds sometimes run so deep and we don't really know what to do with them. Sometimes we have a wound that is continuously being opened because of our unhealthy patterns. Sometimes something happened to us, and then we just continue to put band-aids on it and cover it, and we don't really heal it. And so it kind of spreads and it creates an unhealthy pattern in our life. And it's really what we do with that wound that kind of helps us to figure out where we're going. It's really what we do with that wound that determines the outcome of your healing process. Because if you're just putting a band-aid on it rather than going in and treating it and stitching it up and allowing God to seriously heal it, then you might just continue to be living in brokenness because you're not allowing the only person that can heal it to fix it. It says in Psalm 147, he heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. So if God heals your broken heart and he binds up your wounds, why are you going to anything else to heal you? Why are you trying to look to any other source for healing and for comfort when it's God who can do it for you? And I think that one of the biggest hindrances to healing that brokenness and stopping that unhealthy pattern is that we look to other people to heal us. We distract ourselves. When we're in pain, we use other people. We want to suppress everything that's going on. And in reality, that's not fixing your problem. That's just hindering it. You're hindering your healing process when you distract yourself from the actual problem. And, I think that when we're in a broken state, we don't really realize that we're broken. We just realize that we're in pain. We realize that we're hurting, but we don't know what to do with it, and we don't really know where it's coming from. And so dulling and numbing the pain doesn't heal you. It really is just a temporary Band-Aid for a wound that has deeply hurt you. And really, in reality, when you're just covering it up, you're kind of taking that brokenness inside of you and you're spreading more brokenness around to everyone you come in contact with. And so you're kind of it's not even about you anymore. It's about what you're doing to everybody else. And so you're kind of taking something that's a you issue and you're giving it to other people. And so that's my second point. When we're broken, we are selfish. We only focus on us. I hurt. I'm feeling this. They did this to me. Whatever the issue is. Well, that's a really dangerous place to be, because when you don't realize how broken you are, like I said earlier, you are spreading brokenness around. And so we really want to kind of take a step back and examine our heart. If we're constantly living in a chaotic and painful state of mind, then maybe there's some selfishness in there, and we need to address that. Because if we're living selfishly, then we really aren't acting Christ-like. We're really not mirroring Jesus, because Jesus isn't selfish. And we are kind of, in a sense, going against everything that he says. And he's not selfish. And so we can't really live in a free and open mindset if we're living selfishly, because it's all about us and we're not able to focus on anybody else or their needs. We're focusing on what we need all the time, and that's not God. That's not godly. We really have to stop trying to get what we need from anybody other than Jesus, because he is the only one that can fix brokenness. We can't fix it. Other people can't fix it. No amount of self-care can fix the brokenness inside of you. You can fix the exterior, but you're not going to fix the interior. And we kind of have to get to that point where we realize that no matter what I do on the outside, if nothing is changing on the inside, it's like pointless efforts, and we're not really healing. Healing is not going to the gym and working out. Healing is not reading books or listening to podcasts. Healing is not, fixing your hair, changing it. It's not dressing better. It's not how many people can I abuse and use and sleep with to get over my ex. Like, that's not healing. That's what broken people do. And we don't want to be like that. Because one of the biggest parts of healing, in my opinion, is looking at how broken people act and realizing that you never want to be that way. Seeing all of this brokenness being spread in the world and wanting to do something different, wanting to do things differently, wanting to make a change in how people are being treated and how you treat them. And if you've been hurt and you've been betrayed and people have, used you, people have left you, people have cheated on you, people have lied to you, I think that a big step or a big indicator of maturity is that you never want to act like that. You never want to treat somebody badly. And so even if you are in the healing process, you can be mature enough to say, that person did this to me, but I want to make sure that I never make someone feel like that. And that is a huge indicator of your maturity, because broken people want to spread brokenness. People who want to become whole and heal want to spread unity. They have compassion. They have love for people. They don't want to hurt them. And so if you are on the healing journey and you do, or you have been hurt and you have been betrayed and whatever, like I said earlier, a big step to your healing is recognizing that that is a broken mindset, and you will not be that way, and you will not treat people that way. So, the next point is, I think that one of the ways to get out of that broken pattern, those broken patterns, is to really kind of ask God to reveal things to you about yourself that you're doing that aren't lining up with who He is. And when I say that, I mean, what are your words? What are your conversations like? What are you listening to? What are you putting in your heart? What are you putting in your spirit? What are you putting in your mind? And if you want to heal, you have to sometimes kind of reprogram your day. You have to change the music you listen to. You have to change the things that you read. You have to change the people that you're around. You have to change the conversations that you're having. Because, and I'm not saying don't listen to the things that you like. I'm not saying like just, only listen to Hillsong. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But sometimes when you've been hurt or you've been traumatized or something has happened to you, you'll hear something and it'll kind of trigger you back to that hurt or that pain. And so when you're vulnerable and in a state where you're healing, you really only sometimes can listen to positive things. And for me especially, like when I couldn't listen to music for like 2 months, I had to kind of just cut out everything that I was listening to, because it just reminded me of all of the things that I had been through, and it reminded me of all the hurt. And so I had to kind of just cut everything out. And I wouldn't recommend staying like that, because God wants you to be happy. I remember a long time ago, I felt like I had to just listen to Christian music when I woke up. I felt like that was the only thing that I could listen to. Like I needed to just wake up and pray and listen to worship music. And then I remember one day God said to me, yeah, I never told you that you had to do that. I told you to be happy. I told you to enjoy your life. And if some, certain type of music kind of pumps you up and makes you happy, then okay. And so I think we get a little legalistic about it sometimes. But so whatever works for you is your own thing, and you're on your own journey. But my point is that when you are in a vulnerable and broken state, sometimes you have to cut certain things out of your life and cut certain conversations out, cut words out, because in reality, our words do have power, and other people's words have power over us too. And if you are around negative people who are constantly putting you down, then you're not gonna heal. You're gonna stay in that broken place. Let me tell you how powerful our words are. Imagine if I told you every single day for 2 years, you're so insecure. Oh my God, you're so insecure. Why are you so insecure all the time? What's up with the insecurity? If you had a little bit of insecurity, or even if you had none, eventually in 2 years, if you were told that every single day, you would start to think, maybe I am insecure. maybe, am I being insecure? You would question yourself. And so if those kinds of negative words can have that much of an impact on you, think about the positive words and how much of an impact that can have on you. You are not defined by people's words. And let me make that perfectly clear. We are not defined by what people say about us. And we are not defined sometimes by even what we say about ourselves. We are defined by what God says. And God says that we are loved. He says that we are righteous. He says that we are worthy. He says that we are valuable. And he says that we are capable through him. And so anything that contradicts that is inferior. And when we are speaking words that are inferior to the truth, then we are essentially giving power to a lie. I'm going to say that again. When we or anybody else speaks something about you that is contradictory to God's truth, they are giving power to the inferior. And anything that is contradictory of God's word is a lie. And so when they're giving power to an inferior thing, they are contradicting God's truth, and we don't have the right to do that. That inferior thing, that inferior word, that inferior label does not have the right to define you. God has the right to define you. He is the only one who can define who you are. Nobody else has that luxury to say that you are something other than God says you are. So, we have to be careful about our words and be careful about the words that we're listening to, because anybody that comes into your life and tells you anything other than what God says about you doesn't belong in your life. They do not have the power to define you. Only God does. We do not have the right to give power to inferior things, because God's truth is the only thing that matters. And so when we start to operate from I'm worthy, I'm loved, I'm capable, I have everything I need, when I'm weak, he's strong. When we start to operate from that, those words they don't have any power over us. And we don't let them define us, because we are defined by God. So, labeling people, that's a big thing. That's a big red flag to indicate if you're kind of in a broken state. Going back to what I said before, label, like when we throw out words like this whole narcissism thing is just, some people maybe do have narcissistic traits, or they exhibit narcissistic traits, but we don't ever want to label somebody, because like I said before, we don't have the right to judge people. We don't have the right to call people crazy. We don't have the right to call people narcissists. We don't have the right to call people insecure. We don't have the right to call them anything other than what God says they are. Because when we do that, we're just creating more division. And the enemy loves division. He loves it when we speak power into inferior things, because we're giving power to him. We're not giving glory to God. We're giving power to the enemy when we speak into inferior things and we give them power. Stop labeling people. Stop calling people crazy. Stop calling people narcissists. Stop calling people insecure. Stop. That is not your job. Your job is to make peace as far as it depends on you. Have peace with everybody as far as it depends on you. Don't worry about what they're doing. Don't worry about what they're saying. Don't worry about who they are, how they act. As far as it depends on you, you have peace with everybody. Do not give the enemy a foothold by speaking power into the inferior. That is not your job. Your job is to speak the truth and to speak it in love. So yeah. That was the old you. When you died to Christ, you died with all of that. And when we continue to live the old way, we refuse to believe the truth that we've been made new. When you continue all of those old unhealthy patterns, we're not operating from a place of wholeness. And I love Galatians 6. Let me pull it up in my Bible app. Sorry, I probably should have had this ready, but it's all right. We'll get there. No, it's not Galatians 6. Okay, so what I love what Galatians 2:20 says. No, I'm sorry, Galatians 2:19. For through the law I died to the law so that I might live for God. I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. The life I now live in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. I do not set aside the grace of God, for if righteousness could be gained through the law, Christ died for nothing. What's Paul saying here? Paul is saying that, yes, grace is important. We don't deny God's grace. We need it. We're human. We have to have grace. But he's saying that I live by what Jesus did on the cross. I live by the cross. My mindset is the cross. It is, sin is dead. I don't have to do anything on my own. Jesus is my strength. I give my life to him. He operates through me. Yes, we don't forget grace, but we do not live by grace, because when we live by grace, what we're saying is that everything that I'm doing is okay because there's grace. These unhealthy patterns are validated because there's grace. I can do whatever I want because there's grace. I can continue to live however I want because there's grace. That's not how we're supposed to live. We're supposed to live in a mindset of we are dead to sin. Yes, we are going to continue to sin because we're human, but that is the mindset that we are supposed to be operating from. Dead to sin. Christ died on the cross. Sin died on the cross. We don't have to live by sin anymore. Sin does not rule us. It has been nailed to the cross. So that's where it gets tricky when we live by grace, because we're almost kind of giving ourselves a free pass to do whatever we want. But that's not Christ-like. That's not who. We don't forget grace, but we don't live by it. We understand that we need it, but we live by the cross, because the cross is what killed sin, killed the sting of sin, which is death. Sorry, y'all. I know I'm being mean today, but it's okay. So, another key to healing brokenness is you must have good company. You must have people who are going to check you. It is essential to have people who are going to edify you. If you are surrounded by people who do not edify you and who encourage your unhealthy behavior, then you are going to stay the same. There's a great verse in Proverbs 15, and it is verse 32. Let me get there. Proverbs 15, verse 32. Those who disregard discipline despise themselves, but the one who heeds correction gains understanding. It is so dangerous to live in a state of pride and refusing to be humble and refusing to be corrected. When we seek counsel, wise counsel, people who actually have some wisdom, have some, experience under their belt, we are able to we are able to gain understanding about ourselves that we didn't see before, because experience really does kind of triumph a lot of things. But when we seek wise counsel, when we have people in our lives who are able to correct us and edify us, we grow, we transform, we heal. We're not meant to stay in the same childlike way. When you were a kid, you did things one way, but then your parents taught you how to do it another way. When you got older, you gained experience, you gained wisdom. We all need wisdom. We don't know everything. We don't get wisdom from, people who aren't like-minded, because that wisdom is worldly wisdom. We don't want that kind of wisdom. We want the wisdom of God. And so sometimes you got to be alone. Sometimes you got to have like 2 people in your life. And for me, that's kind of how it's been. I have 2 people in my life, my mom and my best friend, and neither of them let me get away with anything. Both of them, whenever I come to them with a problem, they have a solution. They're not the kind of people that just let me whine and complain and, oh, you're right and they're wrong and how dare they treat you like that. I mean, yeah, they're loving about it, but they don't let me complain. They offer solutions. And so I think that, that kind of goes back to your words and your speech. Like, what are you, when you come to somebody with a problem, are you coming to complain, or are you coming for a solution? And you need people in your life who are going to give you solutions, who are going to encourage you to be better and to do better and to grow in love. Finally, another huge, one of the most important things, other than trusting God, we have to learn how to forgive people. We cannot hold on to unforgiveness. It's a very difficult thing to do, and I know this because I have been hurt very badly, and it's easy to want to hold on to that and to allow what those people did to me or that person did to me affect me. But Jesus really does tell us to forgive. We have to. And it's not, it's not necessarily for them. It's for us. We have to learn that holding on to unforgiveness creates bitterness in our heart. It makes our hearts hard. It prevents the healing process. It delays it. It prevents the healing process from it prevents the healing process from going the way it's supposed to, because you're holding on to all that bitterness. And I know how hard it is to hold on to unforgiveness, because I still struggle with it. There are times when I really thought that I did forgive somebody, and then something will come back into my mind, and I'll just get so angry. But if you watch my other videos, you know that we don't live by our emotions. And so I think that sometimes we get kind of frustrated because we think we forgive. We thought we forgave them. We thought that we moved on. We thought that we let it go, but then we feel that pain and that emotion again. But that doesn't mean you didn't forgive them. That just means you were hurt. But when you truly do forgive somebody, you can feel that hurt, you can process it, and you can move on. And you won't let it control you and affect how you treat people. We really have to remember that when we give all the unforgiveness in our heart to God, He replaces it with compassion. And we can have compassion on hurting people. And when someone does do us wrong, or someone does do something to betray us or, hurt us, we can look at them as broken, and not through a bitter lens, but through a compassionate lens. And we can pray for them, and we can hope the best for them. I'm gonna tell you, y'all, that takes a while to get to, for sure, but it's possible. So the last thing that I'll leave you with is that I think it's so important that you heal, so you stop seeing things through the filter of your wound. I think that so many times we allow people's opinions and words, and we allow relationships and conversations and all kinds of different things. We take it the wrong way, because we're wounded. We don't really have a clear picture of how things really are because we are seeing things through the filter of our wounds. And so I really would encourage you to, however you want to take these steps, however, whatever order you want to do them in, please apply them to your life. It will help you greatly. We're all still on this healing journey. Maybe not some of us, but the people that are watching clearly are. We're on this healing journey, and it is a process. And I want to be really transparent that there are days when it feels like I've made no progress at all, and I'm the same person. There are nights when I don't sleep at all. I lay awake, crying, upset, angry, bitter, confused, hurt. But I love that verse. Weeping endures for a night, but joy does come in the morning. And so just trust that there is a grace for every day, not for next week. There is grace there, but take it day by day. Take the grace that God's given you. Take the grace, the strength that God's given you, and allow that to be what you operate from. Get rid of all the bitterness. Get rid of the anger. Get rid of the unforgiveness. Get rid of the lies that take those words that people have said to you. Give them to God. Allow Him to speak the truth to your heart about who you are, and you will heal. I love you guys so much. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for watching my videos. If you do think that anybody could use them, please share, please subscribe, and I will see you next week.